I hit the game winner, you ain't even see it. Welcome to the halftime show. I need a break from the game. God, thank you for the halftime show.
Check out the Patreon for exclusive content only you can see, my boy. Check it out. Link below. All right, man. I'm gonna go ahead and do a video I've been looking forward to. I haven't really thought much on it. Which KSI boxing match is my favorite, or has been my favorite? KSI, obviously we're gonna go through them. I got a list here of all KSI's boxing matches. Gonna go ahead and go through them and pick which one was my favorite. Up first was KSI versus Joe Weller. KSI went in there and dominated the fight and won by a stoppage. This is where I was very first introduced to KSI. I'd never heard of KSI until this fight. And I watched it and I was like, oh, okay, KSI, cool. And I've been a KSI fan since then. So I didn't know who he was before, right? KSI went in there and dominated. It is what it is. Joe Weller still hasn't made his return. We're waiting on it. Hopefully soon. I want to see Joe Weller back. So, but anyway, that was KSI's first fight against Joe Weller. And he dominated, and he won via stoppage. The next fight was one of the most incredible buildups of any sport that I've ever seen in my life. KSI versus Logan Paul, the very first one, back in 2018. And holy crap, when I say I could not wait for this fight, I was almost not able to watch it, and I almost started crying. I think I did start crying. I was like so mad, bro. And I was able to watch it, but there was almost a point where I wasn't able to watch it, and I started crying. It was that bad. Like, I was so prepared for this fight, and as was anyone else. This one in Deji versus Jake. But KSI and Logan Paul won. The build-up was incredible. And a lot of people say the fight didn't live up to it. I think it did. I mean, it was a really good fight. Really good fight. It ended in a draw, so nobody won. And that's why we got the rematch, which is KSI versus Logan Paul 2. I think the first fight was better than the second one. Just my personal opinion. But the second fight, again, the build-up was insane. Not as insane as the one before, but it was crazy. The press conferences to these fights, up to these fights, were amazing. Like, everyone should have been watching them. And if you haven't watched them, go back and watch them, bro. I go back and watch them sometimes, you know, when I'm by myself and just want entertainment. Those are the best to watch. And then after Logan Paul 2, that was 2019. Took a few years off, came back in 2022, and he faced Swarms and Pineda in the same night. Both of those fights were lackluster, underwhelming, kind of poor, honestly. Neither one of those fights were my favorite. I'll go ahead and tell you that now. Now, it was nice to see KSI back after, what, 3 or 4 years, but those fights were sad. Then he comes back in January of 2023, and he knocks out FaZe Temper, right? That was amazing. That was amazing to see, and the improvements that he had made from just the few months, not only from 2019 to 23, but from the end of middle of 22 to the beginning of 23. That was amazing to see. So shout out KSI there. But yeah, man, the build-up wasn't really there because it was supposed to be Dylan Dennis, but then he pulled out of the fight and it ended up being FaZe Temper. But either way, it was really good, really fun to watch. And if you haven't watched it, it was a little over a year ago. About 2 days ago was a year. Knocks out FaZe Temper in round 1. So that was pretty cool. Then after that, he goes in May of 2022, and he faces Joe Fournier, a 9-0 pro boxer. And don't listen to what anyone else has to say. Oh, Joe Fournier's trash. That 9-0 record doesn't count. Shut up. He's 9-0 professionally, right? I mean, it is what it is. If that doesn't count, then Jake Paul knocking out Andre August a month ago doesn't count either. So go ahead and make up your mind. But anyway, the build up to this was crazy to me too, because this was a step up to anyone KSI has faced, right? You could say Logan Paul is better than Joe Fournier, whatever, I don't care. Joe Fournier actually has a professional record and is way better technique-wise than Logan Paul is. So, again, the build-up here was crazy to me. It was, whoa, KSI YouTubers actually stepping in with someone with a professional record. This is a dangerous fight for anyone, especially a YouTuber. You know what I'm saying? So, then, lastly, in October of last year, just about 3 months ago, he loses to Tommy Fury in a fight that was kind of underwhelming. Again, the build-up, you could compare this build-up to Logan Paul 1 or 2. Like, that's how crazy this build-up was with Tommy Fury. And it was amazing. Again, the fight was underwhelming, But I do think this fight was was better than the Swarms and Pineda incident that we had. But overall, and especially the ending with Tommy Fury winning when really should have been KSI, but we won't get into that. Yeah, just very underwhelming. But either way, the build up to it really, you know, it was really good. So I guess the build up kind of overtakes the underwhelming fight for me, at least. I mean, fight wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. So anyway, my favorite fight on this list, man, honestly, it would have to go to the Joe Fournier fight. And I know people are, oh, why? That fight was trash. It ended in a no contest. KSI, first of all, KSI was probably going to win that fight no matter what, right? If the rounds were to continue going, KSI was starting to lean in, and he was probably going to knock out Joe Fournier if you go back and watch the fight. He hit Joe Fournier with a powerful right hand, and Fournier felt it for sure. That fight wasn't going to last much longer, maybe another round. Yeah, KSI was going to take over there and probably win by knockout. And like I said, this was the first time that we were, you know, like, oh, wow, KSI's stepping in with a professional here. This isn't no easy YouTuber, FaZe Temper, or skinny Mexican kid in Pineda, or Swarms, a rapper, a fat rapper who's never fought before. So this was someone that was a legit test for any influencer. You know what I'm saying? So that was probably my favorite, even though the ending wasn't the best. And I wish we would have seen a knockout there. The fight overall, like I said, wasn't the best, but the build up to it, and just the times that we were in back, that was May of last year. That's almost a year ago. That's crazy. A little bit of nostalgia plays into that, I guess. It's crazy how we got nostalgia for like 8 months ago. Like, that's weird. But either way, that was probably my favorite. Maybe you could say the FaZe Temper one. Just because he actually got to finish the fight with a knockout there. But either way, both of those right there are my favorites. Just because, I don't know. Good times a year ago. Either way, if you want a top 3 ranking, give me Joe Fournier number 1, FaZe Temper number 2. I'm not talking about the opponents, I'm talking about the fights themselves. And then give me Logan Paul number 1. A lot of people aren't going to agree here because the fight was that bad with Joe Fournier, but man, it was a good time, and the build up was good to me. I don't care. It's my opinion, not yours. Make your own video. Yeah, look, give me KSI Joe Fournier, man.